Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Raising the Flipping Bar. I'm your host, Derek Marlin. And in today's episode, we are going to have a debate to see if attending these large national conferences are really worth it. They're obviously expensive, they're time consuming, you have to travel. So let's jump into today's episode. Welcome to Raising the Flipping Bar, the go-to podcast for aspiring and seasoned real estate investors. I'm your host, Derek Marlin, and I'm the CEO of Elevation. We're a real estate investment company based right here in Denver, Colorado. We'll dive into smart investment strategies, market insights, and essential tips for scaling your real estate ventures. Whether you're making your first investment or your 100th investment, this podcast is your blueprint for success in the ever-evolving world of real estate investing. Get ready to elevate your real estate game and begin your journey with me. So really, when I'm looking at this is I kind of want to set the stage for, we just got back from EXPCon. And as a lot of you folks know out there, our real estate agents and our team, the Elevation team, is under eXp Realty. And the cool thing about that is one of the great things about being at a large brokerage is they put on these large national conferences. Last year it was in Las Vegas. This year it's in Miami. So good news there is that's not in kind of lame, boring places. But it's a lot. It's a lot going on. It's expensive to get to. Obviously, you got to travel. You've got to do everything else. But one of the things that grabbed my attention is they have phenomenal keynote speakers, typically in the mornings. And one of the keynote speakers was a guy named Gudera. And I'm showing his book, Unreasonable Hospitality. And I haven't read it yet. We just ordered it. We just got back from the conference. And this is one that I went to with my wife, Ann, who's our team lead. And she's reading it first. So she's going to give me all the cliff notes. But the cool thing about that is he is the CEO and founder of a restaurant called 11 Madison Park in New York City. And what he did when he had his keynote speech is he talked about their progression. I guess there's this voting thing for the top 50 restaurants around the world. And it's in any style of cooking. It's in any type of ambiance and atmosphere. It's just truly the world's best restaurants. And he went and was nominated his first time. And it was really funny because he kind of talked about it like it was the Academy Awards, and they pan to you, and it's almost the opposite, where you don't want your name called first because that means you're number 50. And the longer you go and hold out, then you have a shot at number one. So he gets called as literally the 50th best restaurant, which in the grand scheme of things is like an amazing accolade, but he was so pissed off. And I guess the way he told this story was amazing because the camera panned on him. I think he was dropping F-bombs and everybody was, kind of really, really bummed out. But what they did is with this unreasonable hospitality is they talked about, instead of making it the world's best food, because in his mind, he didn't think that he could compete. I guess there was this amazing chef from Italy, and from a food and culinary standpoint, I just don't think he could have competed. So the way they looked at it is from getting to 50, and spoiler alert, they have won the best restaurant in the world now, which is amazing, is they looked at unreasonable hospitality. And what he defined that is what can you have at any interaction with your customers, your employees, your clients, to, in his terms, be unreasonable with your level of service and your hospitality. And so one of the stories that totally resonated with me, and I get this because I'm originally from Jersey. My father worked on Wall Street. I remember going into the city when I was a kid, and you had hot dog stands all over the place. And as a kid, like, hot dogs are great. I don't know if you could pay me to eat a hot dog right now at my age, but that's a different story. But back in the day, we called them dirty water dogs because they would just take them out of this like nasty, weird looking colored water, and people still ate them. It was mind boggling. So this guy, Will Gudera, he was essentially, working as the maitre d'. He was not a chef himself. And he heard like a little anecdote from these patrons. And what they were saying was they'd flown in from France. So obviously world-class dining there. They'd hit all, I want to say like the 5 best restaurants in New York City. Like it was a total foodie trip. And so they had selected his restaurant as last, which he thought was a cool compliment. But they said, oh my gosh, we're headed to the airport after this to catch a flight across the pond. We never had one of those New York City hot dogs. So what does he do? He runs out, he buys a dirty water dog. He brings it back. I'm sure his chef is appalled. He has him cut it up into 4 different little pieces. At least he plates it and makes it all fancy and like does this whole, cool culinary thing and serves them that hot dog. And they couldn't stop talking about it. Like they'd just eaten at the best restaurants in New York City. They'd come from Paris. And what do they remember? They remember the dirty water dog. So kind of my takeaway from that, and that was one of the coolest things that we heard in one of the keynote speeches at EXPCon was, how do we have unreasonable hospitality in our businesses as it relates to real estate? And actually, he brought up a really cool example that is so apropos to what we're doing in real estate. His agent in New York City was trying to think of how to give them a great gift when they sold his existing place and helped them buy a new place. And so what this agent did that I thought was so cool is, not to say it's not, bad to have a bottle of wine or a gift card or whatever else, but I think that's what everybody does. So what he did when he was prepping to get the house ready to list during the closing process, every time he would go over there, this real estate agent, actually I think it was a woman, I better correct myself, she would take a picture of what was inside the refrigerator. And he's like, this is random. He didn't know it until after the fact. But what she did is, when they moved in, every condiment, like all the things that you hate to buy, you're not going to take with you, you're going to throw out, their fridge was completely stocked and they didn't have to worry about that. So like, again, how can you be unreasonable in your sense of hospitality? How can we interact with our sellers, with agents for sellers, with contractors, whatever you're doing? Like, one of the things that we do that goes a super, super long way is when we're definitely towards the finish line. We don't do this every Friday, but a handful of Fridays throughout our project, we'll buy everybody lunch. We're just talking pizzas, we're talking whatever else, but our contractors stay. It's a win-win because they work through lunch usually and don't, leave for 2 hours. But it's just these little things, and they remember what we're doing, and other investors don't do that. So again, how can you have unreasonable hospitality? That's a really big takeaway for me. So what I want to talk about at this segment is, what are the benefits and what are the connections you're going to make when you attend these conferences? So I mentioned Will Gudera as a keynote speech. That's the other great thing about being at these larger brokerages that are so well funded. They can obviously pay super expensive keynote speakers that we could never pay for ourselves. So we listened to another amazing entrepreneur and business owner, Jesse Itzler, and he was the co-founder of Marquis Jet. He has done 4 or 5 different businesses. He founded Zico Water and sold that to Coca-Cola. And oh, by the way, he's married to Sarah Blakely, who founded Spanx. So the first female billionaire, I believe, to my knowledge, self-generated female billionaire. Super, super smart dude. We got amazing things from him. They had sales and marketing experts. They had neuropsychologists to talk about all the different aspects of sales from a psychological standpoint. So that was super, super cool. And then kind of going back to Will Gudera, the other thing I gained from him is his speech pattern. And by that, I mean, every speaker typically would have to come out, they would have more energy, they would be louder, and that's how they would command the room. But with him, he had such phenomenal stories that he was able to speak really, really quietly. And everybody was like leaning forward in their seats. You could hear a pin drop among 5,000 real estate agents, which, let's think about that. As agents and investors, we are not the quietest people out there. So that was really, really cool. And then you get to network with other agents that are all across the country. And so for us, the great thing about EXPCon that we took out of it is, in the afternoon, they have different tracks. So if you're a luxury agent, you're going to typically attend a lot of the luxury events and really learn about that sector. Obviously for us, and this is another reason why we're over here, is that they've got an investor track. And so they're starting a mastermind called the Elevate Mastermind, which is super cool. I feel like that's a little bit of a ripoff, but they don't know that yet. That's cool. But the good news is there's this guy, Brandon Brittingham, and he is a big time, not only investor, but he's also an agent. And so for him, he's done on average about 500 transactions a year the last couple of years, both again as an agent and as an investor. And so he's starting this mastermind. So we're going to be joining that. So I'll be able to bring everybody this information, what we're getting from a national perspective. So we're super excited about that. And I'm even going to give you just a little quick tip, or let's call it our flip tip, as we typically do. And this was a really neat kind of script and play on words when he is talking about meeting directly with sellers. And so what he would say is, hey, let's assume, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that it's a perfect world. We can buy your house for cash. We can close quickly. You can leave whatever you want in the house. If we can do all that, what's the number that we would be able to buy your house for? And obviously they're at a different price point. So they give you their number. And then you say, well, hey, can I share my number? And you share your number. Let's say they say, hey, I really want to get 500. But the reality is we need to buy this house for $400,000. We share that number, and then we say, hey, now that we both agree that obviously in many, many respects, the world is not a perfect place, what would be the best price that you would take if we could, again, hit those 4 things? And 9 times out of 10, that seller's actually going to automatically come down at least a little bit or build that common ground and help build that rapport. Dealing with hard money lenders is the biggest headache real estate investors have. I thought that's just how hard money had to be until I met Backflip. Backflip is changing the lending game by actually making loans stress-free. And I know this firsthand because I personally use them for my own deals. Let me tell you, their free app makes real estate investing effortless. With just a few taps, I can apply for loans tailored exactly to my needs, whether it's low interest rates, high leverage, or even deferred payments. The best part, I can secure financing in less than 2 weeks, making it easier to scale my business and close more profitable deals. But it doesn't stop there. Backflip instantly provides all the data I need to estimate profits, including a curated list of high-quality comps, saving me hours of work. Unlike other lenders who disappear after funding, Backflip is a true partner for elevation. Their team is always just a call away and ready to answer any questions and offer support. With Backflip, you get the data and the cash you need to jump on good investments quickly and with confidence. Click the link in the show notes to download the free app. Now let's get back to the show. So again, just little flip tips and little things that you can get from connecting at these events. Stay tuned for all that we'll bring you guys from the Elevate Mastermind. We're really excited about that. The other cool thing that we're going to do is in that same investor community, there was an expert who owns a 401k self-directed company and self-directed trust company. So essentially you can use old 401k money, borrow against that to either fund your own flips or teach clients how they can fund your flips. Obviously, the profit needs to go back into your retirement account, but that helps you just absolutely juice your retirement account much faster than even the stock market, even though the stock market's doing great right now. The last thing that I wanted to bring up as far as some of these benefits is obviously the connections with other agents. And the cool thing about it is that we are, again, at EXP, so there's an upline and a downline, meaning there's people that brought you into the organization or there's people that maybe you brought into the organization. And so being in Miami, it was awesome. One of the folks in our upline rented this amazing boat. So we went on this huge dinner cruise for a couple hours and got to know awesome agents across the country. The amazing thing about that is this was a gentleman who had passed away last year super unexpectedly, and his name was Rick Jiha. And I only met him for a hot second, but super dynamic guy. And his wife, Casey, only a year later, still stayed with that legacy and sponsored this whole thing. And she's still doing really amazing things 1 year later from losing her husband. So it really is this cool community. And then they're really leaning into, both for EXP and for agents, the Latin community. And so there was another agent, a big time agent. She rented out this entire huge restaurant and bar right on South Beach. And we had this fun party called Havana Nights. And so it was this amazing Cuban food and there was music. And as you can tell, I stuck out like a sore thumb, but nonetheless, it was super fun. So it's just connecting with folks. We went out there with 6 different people from our Denver contingent and just building those more intimate relationships with everybody, both from an education standpoint and from a, entertainment standpoint. Again, it's just like, okay, why are we really doing these things? And then I was really thinking back from a couple different educational things that I've done in the past. And so I went to a conference 2 years ago, one called Investor Lift, and it was all primarily focused on investors, not as much on the agent side of things. I met Lance and Adam there with the home buying guys, and those are amazing investors that we ended up actually partnering with down in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. We've done wholesale deals between one another. We're doing coaching and training with them. They came under us at EXP, and they're building out all of their teams down there. We're sharing educational resources. So we're truly making money and we're building relationships. Then I went to Tony Robbins Business Mastery with my friend John Broken, who introduced me to Matt Knuckles, who is a great lender. He is now a member of the Broadway Collective and rents space from us. We also do a mastermind together. We've done deals together. We've referred clients back and forth. So it's one of those things where I truly feel like these things pay off and they're typically worth the investment. The other awesome thing about EXP is you can actually earn stock by attending these events. So just by going, and my wife Ann hitting her cap and hitting her number within a year, she earned $2,000 worth of stock to go to this event. So truly it's free essentially, which is pretty amazing. So how I want to wrap up today with this episode is I want to give you some really, really nitty gritty takeaways that we learned that I think you can use whether you're an investor or whether you're an agent. For me, the first one, and this seems simplistic, but I'm such a big proponent of taking the plane ride home, and then going back through your notes, summarizing everything, and picking out 3 or 4 actionable items. Because sometimes it's so overwhelming. You know, you guys know me, I'm a nerd. I had like 8 pages worth of notes. And it's like, how do I summarize those? So I try to pick out 3 or 4 things. To me, that was really key. And then what we do is we put those into our traction business plan, which breaks them up into 90-day, they call them rocks, but essentially 90-day goals. So it's like, okay, I took my 3 or 4 things. I then put that on my team's plate. And I said, how could they help me execute those things? So that was, while simple, I think super, super impactful and super important. The other thing are some AI tools, and we are just diving into this. We're going to record more episodes dedicated towards AI helping to grow your real estate business, but 2 different software pieces that we're looking into. One is called Opus Clip, and the other one is called Descript. And so those are really cool things to help you create content. One actually redirects your eyes, so you could essentially be reading from a teleprompter, but it looks like we're staring at the camera perfectly. So that's kind of really cool. You can also edit content in a super, super quick fashion. And EXP brought in an expert who is also an agent, and his name's Phil Stringer. And I think he kind of summarized it best. And he said, look, AI is not going to just directly replace people or replace businesses. What's going to happen is, in our world, real estate investors or real estate agents or entrepreneurs who master the use of AI is going to put you out of business, or they're going to lap you, or they are going to triple your business. So to me, that was super, super impactful of like, how can we use these tools to grow our business and not fall behind? So again, those are 3 quick things. I wanted to give you guys some flip tips of exactly what we got out of this. Again, we will be translating exactly what we're doing at the Expand Mastermind. And so what I would love to do as we wrap up today's episode is please interact with us. Please engage with us. Send us what you guys are attending, which events you're going to, whether they're local, regional, national, international. I guess they've got EXPCon, I think, in Barcelona. So that would be super cool. We're trying to figure that out here in the future for international. But the way that we're approaching these things, I think, is super important. And I would love to hear from you guys. So thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I know it was a quick one, but we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Raising the Flipping Bar. If you found value in our insights and stories, let's keep the conversation going. Connect with me on social media and be sure to share this episode with friends or colleagues who might benefit. Your feedback and reviews help us grow and reach more listeners like you. So please, if you enjoyed this episode, leave us a review. Thanks again to the Elevation Academy for sponsoring today's show. If you're interested in learning more, click the link in the show notes below. And remember, every property tells a story, every deal brings a lesson. Keep reaching for those goals, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for listening and watching Raising the Flipping Bar. Just a basic overall disclaimer is that A, this is not legal advice. B, this is not tax advice. C, this is not financial advice. I hope you get the gist, but I'm obviously not a lawyer, not a CPA. Hell, I'm not even a real estate agent, actually. But in general, we hope you get a ton of value out of this, but there is a bit of a disclaimer. Please consult a professional if you have any questions whatsoever. Thanks.